5:30, so we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Madison Central School District on Monday, September 10th. Mr. Brooks will record the members present or absent, and we do have a quorum. So the next thing, I invite everyone to please stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. I don't believe we have any changes, do we, Mr. Brooks or Mr. Jorgensen? Nope. Okay, so as posted, need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, is that Sean? Okay.
I'll second.
And Mr. Michael with the second. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the agenda signify by saying aye. Opposed, declare the agenda is approved. Next is approval of consent items 7 through 10. First is our minutes from the August 13th meeting. Second is the approval of the bills, and Mr. Michael, myself, and Mr. Miller got the S's to go through, so I found nothing there. We got any questions we had answered and things. Also then, our financials are there. I liked what our health fund did again.
Yeah.
That was a nice, not surprise, nice job. Then we have some personnel actions. Mr. Jorgensen.
Some requests to hire for playground supervisor Kristen Dugard at $9.40 an hour. A special ed paraprofessional Melissa Lester at $11.65 an hour. And a special ed paraprofessional Elizabeth Libby Grindland, and she will replace Kayla Argon at $11.65 per hour. And then contract changes. Darcy Bottom moves from BA plus 15 to a master's at $46,280. Zach Johnson from BA 15 to a BA 30 at $43,947. And Aaron Riedel from master's plus 15 to a master's plus 30, $47,150. And then one thing I'll mention is that with negotiations 2 years ago for the 18-19 school year, now we have a November 1st cutoff for the lane changes. So the information has to be in by then, and then that'll be credit for the full year, whereas in the past it was prorated. So anything that comes in after that will be for the full amount for the next contract.
Okay, and then open enrollment applications, Mr. Jorgensen.
There's 4 of them. 2 of them are actually students who were already here, but they purchased a new home in the district that it isn't their district, so they're already here. The other 2, one is a middle school and one is another elementary student, so I would recommend approval of those open enrollment applications.
Okay, so on the consent items, we need a motion and a second, and then we'll have discussion. Okay, Leah or Mrs. Cecil's got the first motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schultz. Further questions or discussions? Congratulations to our folks who moved on the salary there with their advanced education. Anything else? All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, items 7 through 10, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that that has passed. Anyone in the audience wish to address the board? All right. On to administrator's report. Dr. Cooks is linked and has lots of pictures and things on there. Mr. Jorgensen.
I'll have Mr. Shaw speak first. I asked him to come and talk. As of August 20th now, it's been a long process, but the high school graduation, the new options we have are now in place. We didn't know they were at the last meeting. We assumed they were, but we had to clear the last hurdle. So we're just going to touch base on what we can do if we choose to and so on.
Okay, with the new high school diploma requirements, it's going to kind of track things out a little differently, but it really isn't going to change anything we're doing in the high school. I just thought I'd share with the board some of the things that are going on. Right now, for a generalized high school diploma, the kids have to have 4 years of English, 3 units of math, 3 units of science, 3 social studies, half of personal finance or economics, electives, CTE, and then they have to have a fine art, a Phi Ed, and a health. Okay. Right now they have Phi Ed and health as freshmen. They take their fine art, whether it's art or band or choir. They have to have that. We still have our 5.5 in. With our newest one, what it does is it provides us flexibility here, here, and here. We can now substitute, change. The kids don't have to have Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2 to get out. It provides us the opportunity to give them Algebra 1. We're looking at adding maybe a discrete math, a consumer math, a technical math, try to get their math credits for them before they go to tech school. College algebra falls into those. So it provides us that wide flexibility with kids. Math's always been a struggle. I always struggled with it a little bit as an instructional leader because not all kids necessarily need Algebra 2 to graduate, but this provides us that flexibility. Same thing in science. Right now, what the old system was, you had to have 3 units of lab-based science, physical science, biology, chem. Right now, the national science trend pushes everybody to take biology as freshmen. We did not jump on that. We left our physical science in because of the link between mathematics as Algebra 1 students and physical science, so that we could work them hand in hand. Left biology in their sophomore year. So now they don't necessarily have to have chem or physics. They can take environmental science, ecology, earth and space. So it gives them that flexibility also. Okay. So what they've done is they've moved it more to a 3-based system. So you can get your generalized high school diploma, or you can go get your advanced endorsement. You can get an advanced career endorsement, or you can get your advanced honors endorsement. The advanced honors endorsement is currently what the old system was. The 3 math, etc., but it's Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, etc. Go ahead.
Which would then qualify them for like the Regent Scholarship.
Opportunity Scholarship, yep. So in the advanced endorsement, same setup, except they have to have 2 units of lab science, so they have to have like a chem or a physics. Earth and space doesn't qualify as a lab science, it's an elective science. Human anatomy is not a lab science, it's an elective. Social studies, they still have to have 3 units. I'm not going to really change what we're doing because we have the kids take geography as freshmen, they take world history as sophomores. There's 1 credit. They get a full credit of U.S. history and a half a credit of government. So right now, the way that sets, it works out just fine for us. Let's see. The rest of that stays the same. Okay, this is where it's going to get interesting. Go ahead. Oh, now you did it.
All Steve.
Okay, in the advanced career endorsement, what it does is it adds in this CTE component. And the beauty of this is we're already doing the NCRC. We already have plenty of clusters of the CTEs in-house already. So majority of our kids, if they're going to track in this way or move this path, they're going to be right on track. We actually require our seniors to take the NCRC before they graduate. It's free. It costs us nothing. They come out and administer it for us right here through the Department of Labor. So I would imagine most of our kids that are going to track to tech schools are going to try and jump on this. Okay, if you go down a little bit. Also, what it does is it now puts them out and they have to go get industrial recognized certifications. First aid CPR, well, that's pretty easy, we can put that in. We can get that through the tech schools. We can get health sciences, well, we already are running a CNA program internally. We're going to look at potentially looking at the advanced welder certification because of our welding programs. So a lot of these things are things that are pretty easy to tie into. We can work with our local Prostrollo dealership on ASE certification. So these are above and beyond what we're doing already, but this will be nice to be able to tie some of this stuff back into our curriculum, get them some certification before they get out. especially if we're gonna work the mold of the apprenticeship route with kids. It's gonna give them one more thing that they can take with them out into the field, okay? And then the last one, this is where this qualifies them for the Opportunity Scholarship, and this is what we were doing up until these just passed. And actually the set right now, the kids are all on track, like our seniors will have gone through all of this on the way out. So they are actually still in the advanced honors endorsement.
So what grade level then will
This will start, it's in effect right now. We'll start working with our freshmen and our sophomores probably. Most of our juniors are already through Algebra 2 and chemistry. So we kind of laid some groundwork too. Last year we put an applied chemistry class in for the kids that were struggling with regular chem. So there are some other avenues for kids to get their credits, but
And it's permissive right now too.
Yep.
Some schools aren't gonna make any change because they
Yep.
don't have all the CTE or those options, so they're not required for this, but it's out there.
yeah, and for us, we're probably a little further ahead than most, which is good. I think that's good for us and it's good for our kids. Any other questions about the graduation requirements?
What happens if a student at the junior level decides to change tracks?
You know, we're gonna do the best we can to work with them, and try to make sure that we get them exposure. What I'd like to see us do really is move some of our internship back a year into our junior year so we can get them some exposure to make sure that they're on the right path and where they're heading. You know, as much business exposure that we can get them earlier, the better off we're gonna be. You know, we'll work with them. There's so much flexibility in this that it provides us that opportunity to move kids where they need to go.
Okay.
The one thing I really like is the math component, where we can actually tie some other math into them, especially the technical math, because they're heading to tech schools. So. On a side note, Friday morning, I got a phone call about 3 weeks ago from Washington, D.C. The United States Deputy Secretary of Education will be here Friday morning. He's going to come tour the high school. He has a vested interest in our welding operation that we have going on. So it would be Betsy, he's right under Betsy DeVos, but he's doing a back-to-school tour. I had written a letter in support of Perkins funding late last year that went to Pier, and then from Pier went to DC. I'm sure that's how he probably got tied into that. So he's going to come Friday morning, and then I've got the Secretary of Education in the state will be here, a few CTE reps, so the media will be here. So it'll be kind of a neat deal for the school system.
Who's that guy's name?
His name is Dr. Mick, M-I-C-K, Zays.
What did you say his title was?
He is the United States Deputy Secretary of Education. Lots of good things going on.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's not really me, it's the kids and
Well.
the teachers, and, you know, we have a lot of good things going on. So we're pretty fortunate, but it's also our business community that's been very, jump on board with us too. It's kind of outside the box thinking a little bit for our kids.
Okay.
I'll touch base on just a couple of things. We'll be hosting the ASBSD regional meeting on October 4th. We did this 2 years ago as well. Dr. Wade Pogany with ASBSD will be here. Mr. Farrell's the president of ASBSD this year. We'll go over possible legislation. We'll have our culinary students. ProStart will be catering the meal like they did a couple years ago, and it was a great opportunity for them in that class to have that night for us. So, and it went really well, so they'll be preparing that again this year. A couple of project updates. Sound panels in the elementary gym, phase 2 of that. We're hoping in October sometime they'll be showing up to get those put in so we can hear a little better when the balls are bouncing in there. And then additional lighting for a high school auditorium. The electrical's done. Right now that's scheduled for next Monday and Tuesday. Get some additional spotlights and some additional lighting up on the stage. Hopefully it'll be just Monday, but we penciled in 2 days. They'll be here to get that finished for us. Quick congratulations to Mrs. Mederisi for being honored as the Chamber's Educator of the Year at our educator's reception here a little over a week ago. And also to Prostrados for being honored as the Chamber's Friend of Education. I mentioned the educational adjustment change that was made in the negotiations 2 years ago for this year, and we did mention that at in-service, and we'll try to send that reminder out one more time prior to November 1st. It should be a better situation for staff and definitely for the office as well, trying to keep track of that. And then the nursing proposal, I'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to that point.
Any other administrators?
I have just a few notes. I just kind of want to go through with our transportation, our vehicles that we have. We have 15 buses. Last year we did 128,169 miles. Our routes did 79,534 miles, and activities on buses did 48,635 miles. Just kind of a gauge of what we have and how many. With our cars and vans and Suburbans, we have 10 vehicles in that fleet. They did 119,000 miles, 119,500 miles. Our 3 cars did just a little over 59,000 miles, and our 4 SUV van type vehicles, larger fast vehicles that haul for activities, did 56,000, just over 56,000 miles. So it's just kind of the gauge of what we have for our fleet and what we're using.
Mitch, does the mini coach count as a bus or
A bus, yeah.
bus?
One other thing on the 4th, when the ASBSD is here, we'll get our all award. We went up one ranking, so still got, that top is still there. We got to do a little more involvement to get to the top.
Well, push just over the edge. What activities do we do that would make us better? Put you on the spot there.
I probably attended more national meetings.
I was going to say president of the school board.
Is that a good enough answer, Steve?
It's pretty honest.
All right.
You might
What
be
is
able
the
to
date of that meeting?
throw us-
October 4th,
No.
6 o'clock, done by 8:30. And let Mitch know if you plan to attend so he can get you reserved. And I think last time we had probably about 45 different board members and administrators attending, so. That's similar, you went to Brookings
Yeah.
last year, so.
That's like that, okay.
Yeah.
That was,
There also are dates in here, and Mitchell are our other closest if that would be something that you wanted, if that didn't work for you. Any other administrators with items? Hearing none, then, we'll go on to second reading for policy, JDGJI, interscholastic activities. And we have our new activities director here.
We'll go through that one first. We got a few changes from our first reading, and then couple things that we found today. I know on 1C, if you look, part of what Mr. Ricky brought in before, we don't have a sophomore level. And 1C, if you go down there, the word sophomore is still in there, so we would strike that out as well. We don't have that group anymore. And then if you go to item 3, you slide down a little more, Steve. Down a ways, we've listed C team because that's pretty much what all the schools have anymore just because of numbers. But then in looking at that, we also noticed, oops, go back up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, there you go. On number, just a hair more. There you go. On number 3, it says athletes should be free to participate. The level best match their needs determined by the head coach regardless of grade level, which we think sort of defines it all. Then item A starts talking about 9th graders again versus C team. So as we talked a little bit today, our proposal would be that we would just strike section A out of there. I don't know if Mr. Ricky wants to add any more to that or not.
No, just as in regards to the C team, we probably one of the, for schools our size, that still plays primarily freshmen on that C team, but even last year we had a situation where we had, I think it was 18 juniors and seniors that needed to play JV. So we did actually bump down 3 sophomores to play on the C team. So even for a school our size, it does have an effect on us. So it's just more cleaning up the terminology. That was for basketball. And volleyball, it's very widely recognized that the third game is the C game or the first game, depending on what you want to look at it. And that, and I would anticipate it would be primarily freshmen, but it gives the coach the option to do what they feel is necessary.
Correct. The other one's changing somewhere, I can't remember, wasn't there where it said FO instead of, just a typo that we corrected.
So any other questions on that particular policy or the changes that we're proposing?
So if you go A, B, C, does that prevent you from having a D, E, F, like in our seventh grade volleyball team now has 60 kids? We started playing at 4:30, we didn't get done until 7:30.
No, that would not change for 7th and 8th is a different policy down there. It's 7th and 8th, it's just, it's kind of as needed. Those, the C team, that's for high school. So in middle school, we do whatever we can to get most kids playing, as much playing time as we can. When we get an opportunity to play at Harrisburg, they can play 5 volleyball matches, we'll play 5 if we can get 5, to try and get everybody playing time.
Other questions on that particular policy? Okay, then the other one is JGDK-L, South Dakota High School Activities Association eligibility checklist for alternative instruction students.
This is, like we said last month, is basically, this is their new form that they have, which is what we have to use. So it's just replacing what we had with what's now required.
Any questions on that? Okay, if not, then I would entertain a motion for approval of the 2 policies. Mr. Hanemichael, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schultz. Further questions or discussion on those 2 policies? I like the change, particularly in the first one. I think that reflects more about what our practices are rather than what it used to be years ago. Hearing no other questions or discussion, all in favor of approving JDGJI and JGDKL signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Declare that those 2 policies are approved. Then we have first reading of 2 policies. First one is JFCH.
And if you'll go to the second page, Steve. Basically in the title, it's just adding the words nicotine delivery device. It's gotten to be sort of a common situation in our country right now, called Juuls. They look like a jump drive, different things. We're making it clear that we're covering all these things. So it's a matter of adding that in the definition, so it's there. Everything else falls into place the same, it's just a matter of adding those. So that's what that one would be. And if there's questions on that, if things come up and we have to address them, we're going to address them. So.
And then the next one is JFCHR.
And the same, basically the same premise, just adding the word nicotine, which would fall back into the same question we had with the Juul, the vaping type of stuff that's a trend. So we'll just be adding those to our policies.
So any questions on that first reading? We'll look as it's for a second reading then next month, and then that would put those into effect into the policies. Any questions or comments on those? Okay, next is to set a date for the board retreat. I appreciate not having it when we had it scheduled. I was not very cognizant of many things at that point in time. So, Mr. Jorgensen, you have some tentative dates in mind?
Yeah, the 9th, well, the first one was the 25th, I believe. Let me bring that with me. It's one of the only nights we don't have something else going on pretty much the entire month. That we had a 5:30 start again. There is a conflict with a couple, I know, of administrators for that night that have some state meetings and stuff going on. The other thought was if we moved it to, really the only other two times are either the 19th or the 3rd of October, which are Wednesdays.
Any thoughts?
25th is the only one that works.
25th is the only one.
I'm out of town.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm out of town on the 19th.
And we can do, like I said, the 25th, just that there'll be a couple that will not be able to attend.
How about the rest of the board? 25th looking okay?
What administrators are,
Mitch?
Mr. Brooks and Ms. Kingsbury. will not be able to attend that night.
Although we have their lists on,
we have the list.
but we don't have many of your lists.
So that would come.
I was like, man, I'm not on the extension.
Our administrators are out doing this, board members, so.
Yeah.
25th, going once, going twice?
I know you're heartbroken, Mitch.
Okay, so we need a motion for the 25th.
So moved.
Okay, Mrs. Schultz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Miller. Last chance to refute it.
What about Cammy? She's in for the 25th?
She had indicated to me that the 19th would be her preference, but she'd make any other date work.
Yeah.
Good question, Mr. Nelson, as usual. All right. Any other comments on that? Then all in favor of setting our school board administrator retreat for the 25th of September, 5:30 p.m. in this room, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare that it is set now in stone. Do I need to send a reminder with the form to you on the email to get your goals in? That probably would be good, all right? Note to self, emails out tomorrow.
And we have to have 3 of each or just 1 of each?
Well, that's up to you, Steve.
Just wherever leads us, wherever the Lord leads us.
Yep, that's yours. No more than 3, though.
No more than 3.
Yep, and even Dr. Cook abided by that this year.
First time.
How about you, Mrs. Guzzi?
Well, there's a list I put out and the one I bring.
Yeah.
We know.
She's in her 3, but, like we said, what she brings could be a whole other world again.
As long as you know what you're dealing with.
I am not sitting by her this year.
It's in the evening.
5:30.
It's not in the morning.
All right. The next one is a tough one. Number 16, consider the trade of our 2018 skid steer loader for a new 2018 skid steer loader with Lake County International at no cost.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion or question? Once again, a phenomenal program that we have with Lake County and cooperation that they have for us, and really kudos to them for doing that. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of doing the trade signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, nay. Declare the motion is passed. Number 17, consider a contract with Madison Regional Health System for nursing services. Mr. Jorgensen.
Yeah, excuse me, bringing that forward. And we've had, I know, a few years back, prior to me being here, I know we had a school nurse at one point in time, but that was hired through the school. This would be contracted through Madison Regional Health System. We're just running into a situation, especially in the elementary, where just our needs right now have changed so much with the number of care plans and 504 plans that we have in place, and the amount of time actually our office staff is spending on that versus a certified nurse doing that. So it'd be for 5 hours a day, what we're looking at. We say 180-day contract, but for this year, it'd probably be closer to 150 by the time we had someone hired and in place. It'd be 5 hours a day. And we were looked at 9:30 to 2:30. I think Mrs. Guzzi is looking at the schedule that would cover the needs we have right now with the different things that take place that we're dealing with. with students. The other nice thing is any of the training and so on, that would fall back on Madison Regional to take care of that. It's not our expertise. If they're gonna have, if someone's gonna be out for a day, like I understand in the past that happened, then we were just sort of without coverage. They would provide the on-call coverage, whatever needed, and if that person's gonna be out for an extended period of time, 2 or 3 days, then they would find someone that would actually come in for those days. I just think it's one of those situations where we're at a point right now where we need to make a change, we need to add this for our students, and again, to make it so that our staff can be doing more of the security side of it, when people are coming into the building and stuff. I don't know if Mrs. Guzzi wants to add anything. It would be for the whole school, but it would be primarily located in the elementary facility right now, just because that's where our highest needs are.
And I would echo exactly that. We've got some kids who have some medical issues, some medically fragile kids who really would benefit educationally from the support of a nurse, so they remain in their classrooms for a longer time. It allows the secretarial staff to stay at the desks and doing the work that needs to be done from that area. And I grabbed a schedule right before I left work today, and right now, if all goes well, the secretaries are scheduled to see kids at 8, 11:05, 11:10, 11:20, 11:25, 12, 12:10, 12:15, 2 o'clock, 2:15, 2:20, 2:25, and then a second at 2:25. And if everything goes well, we keep all those kids coming in and going back, but many cases that doesn't go well, and that's the better part of a day. Really, by the time you would stop and go, and we're serving those kids, and we're always going to serve our kids first, but I think
So we're administering medications.
they administer
checking blood
medications,
levels, I mean-
yep, and we'll actually require some additional training if we would be called on to administer insulin, but we also respond, well, we administer meds, we respond to, and we'll continue to respond to, like, somebody falls off the monkey bars, ice, broken arms, the flu, fevers, those kind of things, Band-Aids, but then diabetic responses, allergic reactions, a lot of kids with different types of allergies, modified food plans through the lunch hour, and not every kid has the same modified food plan, and then recognizing specialized seating, and awareness, communications between teachers, parents, school, and then acclimating little people to school.
We're nearing 50 different plans right now. And the contract service we still have right now, we would keep in place, we just probably won't be using it a whole lot. That would be for things that would fall outside this time frame. We could still fall back on that if need be. And I think, in talking with Madison Regional Health, they've been very willing to work on this. They'll provide the equipment, and any of the disposals that go with that equipment. We'll provide still the Band-Aids, ice packs, those things that we've always done. But any of the needed equipment that would be needed for the nurse in this position, they will provide that. And if there's actually a school nurse certification of some sort, they would apply dollars towards that for the certification as well. So we wouldn't bring it forward unless we really felt it was needed, and we're just at a point right now where we just feel we need these services to meet the needs of our kids. And it was at $39.75 an hour.
Start date?
Start date would be, if we have approval here, then I will be in contact with Madison Regional again, and then they will start the process of getting this position filled and hired. Once they have that in place is when we start. That's why I said for this year, it's probably going to be closer to 150 day versus 180. They'll follow our calendar, and that includes those 4 in-service days, but there'll probably be a couple of those in-service days because we'd have them come to registration, because that's when we have new students coming in that may have some plans that we have to deal with, and they could be working with them firsthand with the parents and the child at that time.
And then the rate is all-inclusive because the hospital maintains the benefit package.
Correct. So, I mean, there's no additional retirement, insurance, whatever it may be on our part. It's the contracted service with Madison Regional. Which, yeah, and again, I wasn't here in the past, but trying to do some of this, that's not our area. And if there's additional training needed for these folks, whoever may be in this position, that'll fall back and they'll take care of the training end of it too.
I just think the liability too, doing some of those things and administering insulin and just, I think it, yeah.
We're just at that point, we're at that point, and, like I said, we don't try to bring things to add to the budget, but in this case, it's something that we feel that we strongly need to get this in place.
Move to approve.
Okay, Mr. Nelson has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Cecil. Further questions or discussion? We would have room in our budget, Mr. Brooks, for this type of expenditure?
Yeah, and we would bring a budget adjustment in the future, or know how many days.
Okay.
We had nursing services of a similar amount in the budget in prior years, but we removed one yet, we refill.
Okay.
This has come up at the goal session a number of times too, over the past 2 years.
Further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving a contract with Madison Regional Health System for nursing services signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Declare the motion is passed. Oh, number 18, who wants that one?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Miller again, Mr. Hanamichael, non-debatable. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.